Hi everyone, welcome. Gosh, isn't that an amazing video we just saw there? We've come to our final activity for Let Our Voice Run. Let Our Voice Run is a special campaign by Footsteps to Inspire and LCCS Singapore to open up dialogue, create safe spaces, and peacefully end violence in our communities. Today we had our virtual run, and a very big thank you to everybody who ran, walked, cycled, swam, and rocked their very cool t-shirts in support of the cause. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Claire McFarlane from Footsteps to Inspire. I'm a rape survivor, and I'm now using my experience to help others. I'm running 16 kilometers of beach in every country of the world to peacefully end sexual violence, and I've already helped survivors in 55 countries. I believe that self-defense is a key component to preventing violence, but also for helping survivors. I'd like to welcome Qin from Kapap Academy. Qin is an acclaimed martial artist and trains women and children in self-defense. In 2017, Qin was appointed by the Queen of England the status of Young Leaders for Singapore for helping ordinary people stay safe. And this year she received the Kindness and Leadership Award for Southeast Asia. With no further ado, welcome Qin. It's great to have you here.
Hey everyone, hello.
Hi Qin. Wow, awesome.
Hello.
I can see you ready. We've got the wonderful backdrop.
Yes. Wonderful backdrop to do a lot of my cool moves that I'll be sharing you guys in a very short while.
Oh, so looking forward to learning some of these moves, and I'm sure that everyone who's watching is as well. I think it's it's self-defense is for many can seem a little bit daunting. But today, could you let us know, Qin, why should we be learning self-defense?
To be honest, I think I see self-defense as a preventive measure. The truth is that in life, a lot of things are very unpredictable. So long as we venture out of our homes, there's always that probability that somebody might attack you anytime, any place. So I think that what's self-defense engaged. So
Ah, Qin, I think I've lost you, unfortunately, for a moment. I'm not sure if it's your side or my side. Oh, everyone. Okay, I think we might have a small technical problem. We're streaming this live from very different countries. I'm in Europe. Qin is in Singapore, of course. Qin has dropped out, but she's going to be back with us in one moment. So I guess you've got me. You're stuck with me. Please, everybody who has participated in our virtual run today for Let Our Voice Run, a little reminder that we're sharing photos and videos. We have a hashtag. It's a hashtag Let Our Voice Run and hashtag Footsteps to Inspire. So if you do have pictures from your event today, please share them on social media, on Instagram, on Facebook. We would love to see how you participated in Let Our Voice Run today. And we're just so grateful to have you support the cause and be part of this important dialogue to end violence in our communities. Okay, we've got Qin back. Woohoo!
So sorry for the technical. I have no idea what's wrong, but I hope that it's fine now.
No worries, no worries. I mean, that's what doing things live
Okay.
is all about. It's all good.
Yes.
I think, though, what we might need to
Okay.
do is go back to that question because I think it might have
Okay.
dropped out. So I guess
Sure.
just to
Sure.
recap the question in case anyone's just joined in now, it was to ask you
Sure.
why you believe self-defense or learning self-defense is important.
Sure. So as was mentioned just now, I think self-defense is very important because, I think life is very unpredictable and you never know when, something might happen to you. And the way we see self-defense isn't just about the physical engagement. I think it incorporates both the mindset as well as the physical ability to fight back. So To me, it's more taking self-defense as a preventive measure. So if you're able to do what we call the three rings of defense, there is that possibility that you may not even have to reach the third ring, which is where you have to physically fight back. So the first ring, the ability to sense danger and understand predatory behavior. So the moment you recognize that somebody could be stalking you, monitoring your behaviors, the minute you sense that and you get away from the person, that would be ideal. All right. And the second ring of defense, if it's something were to crop up, maybe you sense some aggression on the other person's part. Maybe there's a way you can de-escalate and avoid the situation, so that it doesn't turn physical. That would be also ideal. But only as a last resort if all else fails and the guy isn't really giving you a choice anymore and is attacking you, then obviously we would have to go to the physical engagement of it. So to me, I see self-defense as not just an intervention approach. I think it's a preventive approach, and I think it gives you a very good sense of empowerment so that you can live your life confidently without feeling afraid.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's so critical. And we often forget that self-defense isn't, everyone just thinks it's about going in and doing moves, but you're so right. It's about sensing the danger first, isn't it? I even just think
That's
about
right.
what happened to me. I it's not like I walked into a dangerous situation, but I did have a gut instinct that something was wrong, but I hadn't learned to listen to it. And I guess that's what self-defense teaches you to do. It teaches you to identify what that gut feeling is and get the heck out of there in case, because it's probably saying danger.
That's right. That's right.
Wow. Okay. And now I have another question for you because, we can do self-defense as a preventative measure, but I think also as a survivor, I found learning self-defense helped me a lot after surviving rape in terms of my healing process. It helped me feel safer, like just walking down the street. And I also felt a lot more empowered. From your experience, have you seen it be useful for survivors of violence?
I definitely think so. So about 20% of our students are actually former victims of sexual assault, ranging from different severities. But what I do see in these survivors is the sense of confidence that they rebuilt, in this self-defense training. So I've got students who come to us after they've been attacked. You can see that they're just so lacking confidence and they're so fearful. And I've always encouraged them that if you can face up, to your fears, you're learning something to prevent such things from happening again. We can't change the past and we shouldn't be ashamed of what has happened, but we can move forward in life knowing that now we have the skills to stop something from happening to you again. And more importantly, what I see that is really changing them internally is when they're able to share their skill sets to other females. So they in turn feel that if I can use what I've learned so far to help somebody else, it makes me feel so much better. And with my own personal experience, I think that's whole part of the healing process.
Yeah, absolutely. That's fantastic. That's awesome. I do have one other little question because I noticed, and I think this might be on everyone's mind as well, and I saw in the video that we shared, is that self-defense can be for everyone. You don't need any kind of prerequisite. I don't have to be some sort of bodybuilder or strong or run fast. Can you explain, I guess, why or why it can be for everyone?
Yeah, I think that's a great question because this is the number one question I always get as well when somebody wants to join my classes. And I always emphasize the point that self-defense need not have any prerequisites. It shouldn't have any prerequisites because if you think about it, the people who need it the most tend not to be the strongest person around or the biggest person around. And because they're not big, they're not, strong, that's why they get targeted most of the time. And so therefore, if we set, any sort of physical prerequisite, it would defeat the whole purpose of self-defense. So actually what we have had to do was to look into our whole curriculum or my whole experience of self-defense techniques and really start to pick up what works for the smaller person against a bigger person. And that's how we see things.
Oh, that's brilliant. Oh, wonderful. That's so good to know. So everybody, no need to worry about that. Thank you, Yunshin. Okay,
Thank you.
Before we run into our session, I just want to let everyone who's watching, if anyone has any questions for Yunshin, please do leave them in the comments here on this live session. We're going to come back after the class and try and answer a couple of the questions. And if we don't manage to answer the questions after the class, we will answer them progressively in the comments on Facebook. So no further ado, over to you, Yunshin. Let's get started.
Thank you so much. So I just want to continue. I would just want to go back to what I mentioned earlier about the part where we sense danger. So what I'm going to do right now is kind of just reenact a scene where, somebody might possibly be attacked. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to invite my assistant, which is just right next to me. Her name is Muyang, and we're just going to stand up and we're just going to, step back a little bit so that, you guys can see both of us at the same time. Okay, so now what we're going to do is going to reenact a scene here. So let's say you're walking home from work, from school, wherever you might be, and say you happen to be walking along this path that is rather quiet. Okay, it's dark, it's late at night, and then somebody comes up to you. It's a passerby. Okay, and he looks well dressed enough. All right, he speaks well as well. And he asks you a very innocent question as well. You wouldn't even think twice about somebody asking a question. And the question could be, how do you get to nearest MRT station? That's it, right? Well, the thing is, after you stop and answer his question, because you feel like he's a normal passerby, something is about to happen to you. I'm going to show you, right, what that something will be. So we're just going to reenact the little scene here, okay? So person walks in. We're like, hey, miss, how to get nearest MRT from here? And there you go, all right, okay? And within the next 1-2 seconds, she's down on the ground at my mercy as the attacker. Now you see, this is how a real attack actually looks like, right? I mean, no one's going to be in a fighting stance. No one's going to tell you about to attack you. When you don't expect it, they take you down. They do something to you. And now from here, it's going to be more challenging for her to defend herself. I could choke her from here. I could stab her. I could do lots of stuff to her, right? So the thing is that she wasn't able to run away because she didn't see it coming. She wasn't able to call the police because there was simply no time. And certainly, she wasn't able to kick me in the groin, even if she could, right, in the first place, because it goes back to the same question. You don't see it coming, right? So given that this is how normal street attacks would look like, then the question that follows up from there is, how then do we prevent such things from happening to you? All right, so we're going to reenact the whole scene again. I'm going to show you what to do now. Okay, so let's go back to the earlier scene just now, right? So you were walking just now, and then somebody approaches you. Now, like I said, the easier way to do things, all right, is simple ways, just to run away from everybody to ask this question. But then you see that will become highly unrealistic, okay, and probably very tiring as well. Okay, so the thing is this: when somebody starts approaching you, the first thing you got to notice is this. Initially, when I approached her, I was somewhat in front of her. But then very casually, I started moving a little bit more towards side right now. Now, in this position where I am right now, as an attacker, I have an advantage over her. I can hit her, I can choke her, I can do lots of stuff to her, but she can't do the same to me because she's facing the wrong direction. She's facing that direction, right? So the thing is this. The number one thing you should remember is, given that the environment isn't the safest, I don't care whoever comes up to you, all right, innocent looking or not, at least, right, the first thing you should do is make sure you face the person, okay? Because at the very least, when you're facing the person, if you choose, right, to defend yourself, you now can, because your hands and legs are facing the attacker. So principle number one, if somebody approaches you in the street, face the person. Don't allow the guy to go to your side. Okay, so if I were to say, if I ask her a question, Miss, how to get nearest MRT? She reorientates the position. If I say it's MRT over there, she faces me again. Okay, so let's come back a little bit. So the second principle is what we call distance management. Now, what is distance management? How far do you need to stand to be safe? Okay, now most people would think an 1 arm length distance would be safe enough. The problem is, at 1 arm length distance, right, if I try to throw a punch to the person's face, it's easy because all I have to do is extend my arm. I'll be able to reach the person. Okay, so the thing is this: you need to add in what we call reaction time. Action will always be faster than reaction. That is the problem. Okay, so what is the reaction time you need? What is the buffer you need? Right, probably about 20% more. This should be sufficient enough, because as you can see right now, if I choose to attack her, I can't reach her. And if I need to take a step forward. By that time, she could have stepped back. She could have done things, to me. Okay, so the thing is that knowing that action is always faster reaction. Okay, you got to add in your own reaction time. So 1 arm plus 20% more will be a good enough distance to play around with. Take note also that the arm length I'm talking about is not your arm length, is the attacker or potential attacker's arm length. Why? Because I will always assume one thing: my potential attacker tends to be bigger, taller, stronger than me. So therefore, if I use my own arm length as a gauge, I probably would not be able, all right, to defend myself very, very sufficiently. Okay, so that's the second part about distance management. The third thing, which is super important, is what we call the weapons in front principle. Now, what do we mean by weapons in front? The thing is this, right? If you face me again, as the attacker, where do I typically want to attack a person? Usually top half, right? All your vital areas, your face, your neck, your chest region, right? These are the vital areas. Now, what are your primary weapons of defense? Your hands. If your hands are down by the side, they're relaxed, okay? And they're not nowhere close to the vital areas which I'm about to attack. So it doesn't make sense for your hands to be down here. But of course, it'd be ridiculous if you don't really know if the guy is going to be attacking you. The guy just asks you a question. It'd be very weird for you to go into a fighting stance and ask the guy, how can I help you, right? Right? Or do ridiculous things like protect your neck when the guy's asking you like how to get to your MRT. Okay? So the thing is that we need not be that exaggerated. We need not be that paranoid, but we can adopt very natural postures, what we call covert postures, that can keep our vital areas safe without looking, a little bit too paranoid. For example, the thoughtful look, which is simply something that, you might even be doing this on a normal basis. So I'm doing my thoughtful look posture. Okay, so if she does the thoughtful look posture, okay, it looks like this. Okay, so come towards me a little bit. This is the thoughtful look posture, because what? From here, this hand that is raised can protect the neck area, okay, on both sides. The chest area, if I want to attack the chest area as well. Okay. Another alternative, if you really find the thoughtful look isn't something that you usually do, another look you can do is what we call the praying hand, something like that. Okay. So the praying hand, similarly, right, is around the chest region. Same thing. If I take, for example, if I take a knife, I try to cut, she can protect, she can protect, she can protect as well. Okay. So front facing, the thoughtful look will look like this. Okay. So do the thoughtful look as well, like this. If we do the praying hands, it will look like this. So these are, as you can see, they're very natural postures, right, that you can do even if you're not really sure if it's a bad guy. Now, I'm not saying the person asking a question is a guaranteed bad guy. I'm just saying maybe he might, maybe he might not, right? But just to be safe, we're doing these postures, okay? So far, so good. What if now we escalate the situation just a little bit more, okay? So what if now the person starts yelling in your face right now? So we know for sure is not a Mr. Nice guy. He's not a nice person because he's yelling in your face right now. Okay, so the danger has just escalated a little bit more. Okay, so originally maybe it was fine. That's why I'm doing the praying hands. Okay, but then he starts yelling in my face for some reason. Okay, and now he starts coming towards me. So this is where I have to do another posture which I'm going to show in a while. So from here, she comes towards me. Stop. I go to the next posture called the fence. Okay, now what is the fence? So the fence looks like this. Okay, I'm talking to the person, I'm saying stop, I'm having my elbows bent, my palms are facing forward, and I have that voice projection. Now, once again, I'm still haven't resorted to a physical engagement yet, but what I am trying to do is to portray an image to the bad guy here that I'm not a pushover, okay, right? I'm warning you right now, don't come close to me. These are my boundaries, okay? Stay away from me, all right? And I'm telling the person, look, I don't really want to have to fight, right? But just stay away, back off. And what you're trying to do really, okay, is to convey the message that, look, I'm not as easy a victim as you think I might be. And this is the number one thing that makes that predators, right, look out in their victims, and that is the sense of vulnerability. It's not about the clothing, it's not about how they look appearance-wise, it's about that sense of vulnerability. Are you able and willing to defend yourself? That is the main thing, right? Which is why typically if you look at predators, they tend to attack people who are seemingly weaker, right? Men will attack females, or men will attack, or people in general will attack the elderly, or the very young ones, etc. Because in their mind, it's perceived that these target audiences or these target groups are easy to get something from them. And what you're trying to do here is, look, I can't change my appearance very much. If I'm small, I'm small, right? If I'm female, so be it, right? In fact, there's nothing wrong with being a female, right? But okay, what I am telling in person is that I have some fight in me, okay? All right, and if you choose to come forward towards me, you got to handle the consequences. And so the next scenario is, what if he tries to test you out anyway? You say stop several times, he doesn't stop, we have to go to the next move. So I'm saying stop, stop, the guy keeps coming. That's a palm shot right to the person's face, right smack, right on the face area. Now, back to that point there. When I struck her, or for that matter, if you need to strike somebody, okay, you notice one thing. I do not punch somebody. Okay, now punching is, of course, something that a lot of people are trained to do in sports martial arts in general, or even martial arts in general. The problem that we realize is that in most sports martial arts, when you spar, there's something that you have, and that's called gloves, right? You have hand wraps, you have gloves that protect your hands when you do spar in a sports martial art competition. But the problem is when you're out there in the streets, You simply do not have this protective gear to protect your hands. So the problem is, we are out there in the street fight and say you throw a punch at the person, and if the person tucks his head in and you hit the top of the skull is extremely hot. So the chance of you breaking your hands is going to be extremely high. Not to mention, because the person is moving, even if you're conditioning your hands to a certain extent, there's always that misalignment because things are just so dynamic. And all you need is a slight misalignment for your wrist to bend slightly, and you could also hurt your wrist in the process. So to me, all right, what is a safer way to strike back? The palm strike. Because when you palm strike somebody, you're using the heel of the palm to hit the person. And even if you were to miss, the heel of the palm here is not like the fist over here, where it's made of like, small, tiny little bones. It's just a solid bone behind here. So the chance of you breaking this area is not as high as, say, your fist. Okay, so when we choose to strike somebody, we rather do a palm strike, right? Just like that. And where do we aim the palm strike? The nose mouth area. Okay, so somewhere around the triangle over here, okay, the nose mouth area. So that's the first area we can target. Now, of course, if the guy is slightly taller, we can't aim for the nose mouth area. We shall aim for a second area, which is just below the chin area. Okay, so right when we do it this way, the target area, the pain, right, actually is around the neck because the head goes up this way. Now, finally, if the guy is really, really too tall for you to reach his head area, okay, there's another third area we can go for. And I know what you're thinking, probably the groin area, right? After all, it is one of the humans, one of the weakest part of the human body. But do you realize that it's also pretty low, unless you're ready to squat down and start hitting the guy in the groin, which I don't think so. Okay, that would probably not be a good idea. Okay, and I have not met the person who is so tall, the groin area is literally my face. Okay, so what we're gonna go for is a slightly, all right, lower target only, and that's called the solar plexus, which is somewhere here. Okay, so where the ribcage meets, that's the solar plexus here. Okay, so there are 3 target areas you can go for. You can go for the face, you can go for below the chin, and you can go for the solar plexus over here. So these are the 3 target areas you can go for. You can even do a single palm strike, or you can do a double palm strike. Okay, so this will be a safe and effective way of striking a person if you need to. So going back to what we just mentioned so far, okay, posturing and the various scenarios which you might encounter in the street. So scenario number 1, not sure if it's a bad guy or not. What do? Person comes and asks you a question, okay? You start off with the thoughtful look or the praying hands, whichever you decide, okay? Because why? He's asking a question. Make sure you keep your distance management and make sure you keep the person in front of you. So far, so good. He's asking a question, you're not sure, okay? But now when he escalates and starts walking towards you in an aggressive manner, stop, go into the fence position. And finally, when things go a little bit too bad, the guy keeps coming forward, that's the palm strike right to the person's face. Bingo. Okay, so these are just examples of scenarios that you might encounter in the street. And like I said, it's not so simple. Things happen, punch the guy in the face or kick him in the groin and run away. I just showed you a demonstration of what can happen on the street. Things are usually done in a very unpredictable manner. All right, it's very fast. So a lot of these simplistic things that you think you can do towards the person is not so simple after all. Okay, now let's move on to the next the next complication. So you see, ideally, what you did was just now, I said stop, and then when the guy doesn't stop, I launched the first strike because things are obviously not, all right, to my advantage, and I can sense the aggression in the person's part. And if I don't hit the person, all right, eventually I'm going to get hit, okay? What if now, instead of you having your posture to do that first, the guy hits you first? So that's a problem, right? So the guy takes the first hit. So how do you defend against a strike? So I'll show you this, okay? So say, for example, okay, I'm the attacker, all right? So she's doing the fence right now. Okay, I'm telling her, look, blah, blah, blah. I'm cursing, I'm swearing at her, and then I throw a punch towards her face, the shield. Okay, so this is what we call the shield. I'll turn her around, so you can see it. But basically, what the shield is to protect the face area and actually a very, very important part of the body. Let me drop my hands for a second. Which part of the face is actually the most vulnerable part of the human body in terms of getting hit? Okay, some of you might say the eye or the nose, but the truth is, it's actually the chin or the jaw area. We call this a knockout button, right? Because when you get hit over here in this area, you lose consciousness, right? You're knocked out. And what's the worst part of getting knocked out on the streets? Because you're not going to follow mats like this. This is a nice, comfy mats. You won't die. Maybe if you're out there on the street and somebody punches you, it knocks you out. Your head could hit what? Concrete pavement. There's nothing stopping you from protecting your head. So that's one where people think, oh, it's just a punch. It is not just a punch, because people can die in the process depending on how they fall. So that's why you need to prevent, right, strikes from landing on this area, to be honest, from landing on your face at all. All right. And that's why we do the shield. So just to go back to the shield again and just elaborate a little bit more on that. So if I punch the person, now hands on top of the head. Okay. Now your forearms are actually close, but not too close. A little turn her around. Forearms are like iron bars, so the punch can't go through. Okay, so let's step a little bit forward a little bit. Okay, nice hunch of the back. Okay, so we throw a few punches. All right, I can't get through. Okay, now of course you could see, look, there's a gigantic hole on the side. Now I'm not stupid, right? If I can't go through from the front, I could jolly well go for the side. So how does she protect? If I throw it from the side, if I throw from the side, she protects it, right? Side shield we call this, and you can see when she does the side shield, the forearm and bicep is protecting side of the face. Okay, these are fleshy areas. Yes, it's gonna hurt a little bit. Definitely a lot better getting hit on your face, right? So that's the side shield. All right. At the same time, the front is still being protected. If I choose to go the other side, when I'm here, I can't really reach the other side. If I go to the other side, she will switch accordingly. Bam, bam, she can protect it. Okay, so I'll turn her around so you can see front shield from the front view. Okay, hands on resting on top of the head. The forearms, all right, are closed, but you believe there's a little small gap here. Hunch back. Okay, and by the way, you can't see it, but you should never close your eyes because you need to see where the guy is punching next. Okay, now left shield. This is assuming the guy hits you on your left side. Okay, you do the left shield. Same thing. One hand in front, one hand on the side. Right shield. This is what we do. Okay, now face me again. Now you see the thing is this, right? When we talk about shields, are we talking about protecting our heads, indefinitely? What do? Do we stay there for the next 5 to 10 minutes to get hit? No, we do not, right? The shield is only intended because look, things came about too fast, right? The guy throws a few punches. You got to protect yourself, right? So you defend maybe the first 1 or 2 strikes, but eventually, after you block the first 1 or 2 strikes, you have to come back. You have to hit the person. So whether you do a punch strike or other things that we teach in our classes, like elbow strikes, got to do something about it. You can't just stay there and take the hits, okay? Now, so far, we've talked about protecting the head, which I just showed you what to do, right? What about body? Right now, obviously, when you're doing the front shield, for example, the body is exposed. Okay, now the body is actually quite a big surface area if you think about it, right? But the truth is, okay, you can't protect every part of the body, but there's certain part of the body you should protect. The center region is something I would not be too concerned about. And why is that so? Because we do have quite a fair bit of blubber for some of us, right? It's all packed right in the center. Okay, whether it's muscles, whether it's fat, it provides some sort of padding. So it's not too bad. The problem is, what if the guy hits you on the sides? Where? The rib cages, right? These are bony structures that no matter how fat you are, they tend not to pack as much fat as compared to other parts of the body, like the center region. So if I were to hit somebody on the rib area, I could potentially break the rib or hurt the organ behind the rib. For example, if I hit her on the right side, she could hurt the liver. So that being said, how then to protect your rib cages? So let's go back to the front shield, for example, the front of bamba. And if she sees me trying to hit low, she drops the elbow a little bit, right? So that if I try to hit low, I will end up hitting her elbow instead, which is probably going to break my fist. Okay? And if I go back to the other side, okay, she can protect the other side. Okay? So if I demonstrate to you from the front, this is the front shield. And if I see the person coming from this side, low side, I'm going to crouch forward and drop my elbow just a little bit to protect my rib area. If you notice, the other hand is still up. Why? Because you don't want to be too committed to just protecting the body in case he kind of tricks you or you misread it. You think it's a body shot, but actually goes towards your head. So when you go down here, if I make a mistake, I can still protect it. Okay, it's still not too bad. Similarly, left side, right side. Okay, so this is the lower left and this is the lower right. Okay, so far what we have demonstrated are scenarios on how to protect yourself walking from point A to point B, how to hit a person, and how to defend if you do get hit. Okay, so these are quite a few common scenarios. So now maybe I want to go into something that's a little bit more dangerous. Okay, what if you're in a confined space, like the lift? Okay, to be honest, quite a few of our students who have been attacked before, one of the most popular spaces that have been attacked before is in the lift. Okay, now let me talk a bit about prevention again. Okay, we talk about lift setting. If you're in a lift with a stranger, for example, okay, now of course I know what you're saying, what you're thinking. Okay, if you're in a lift with a stranger, ideally the stranger comes in, I walk up. Okay, so I would never be caught in a situation where I have to be in a lift with somebody else. Okay, easier said than done, because what happens is every bad guy out there will know that this is a very common piece of advice. The parents even tell the children to do it, right? So what they do is you walk in the lift first, you think you're alone in the lift, and then when the door is about to close, the person rushes in. So even if you want to get out, there's no time, the door shuts. So now you're stuck in the lift with the person. Okay, so ideally you can always do that. In a not so ideal situation, what happens if we get stuck in a lift with a person? Okay, so this is what I'm going to talk about. Where is a safe place to stand in the lift? Okay, there are two most common places that you may even think of standing, or you might even be doing on a daily basis. Okay, one position is right behind the buttons. So say, for example, we reenact the scene here. Okay, the buttons are here, the lift door is here. Why would you stand here? Very simple. If something were to happen, press the buttons, you're out of the lift. That's one of the rationale. Okay, but let me show you why this reason is a little bit flawed. So let's say I'm the bad guy. Okay, I step out of the lift right now. So lift door opens, I walk in. Okay, can the person see me as attacker? No, she can't, right? So technically, I could hit her from behind, stab her from behind. I could choke her, drag her back from behind. She can't reach the lift buttons. You see, that's the problem. So in an ideal situation, you could have pressed the buttons and get out of the lift, right? But in the most realistic situation, you probably can't see what's happening behind you. So therefore, this position is not the best position to be in. The other next popular position at the back of the lift. Okay, something that people tend to do as well. So at the back. Okay, here. So the buttons are here. Okay, the back of the lift is here. Okay, and why would somebody stand here? Very simple. Well, this time I learned my lesson. Nobody gets to stand behind me, so therefore I can see anybody who's trying to attack me. Okay, so once again, we're going to role play this, and I'll show you why this also may not be the best position to be in. So I'm the bad guy again, right? So I'm out of the lift door opens, I walk into the lift, I see a person, I decide, good victim, try. Okay, I choke her, and I just pinned her right against the back of the lift. If you think about it, if you can visualize, right? I am basically blocking her exit. So if I'm this big person that's blocking the exit, she's going to have a tough time trying to get out. So seeing is one thing, trying to get out is a completely different thing altogether. So where do we stand? I would say the sides of the lift. It doesn't matter which side, right? So the buttons are here, the door is here, the sides of the lift, this side or this side. Okay. Now on top of it, okay, what I do also, all right, recommend is to have the hand closest to the potential attacker to be raised in the covert posture we talk about. In this case, this is a thoughtful look. Okay, because what if anything were to happen, if suddenly you spring a surprise attack, she can protect, she can hit me in the face, lots of stuff she can do, right? She's prepared, but I don't know it because it's natural enough. Okay, so you're having thoughtful look. You don't know if the person is going to attack you or not, but just in case, you have your hands up. You see that? Okay, now in the lift situation, if you're on this side of the lift, you see, you would have to change the hand to this side. Okay, so depending on which side of the lift you're at, right, you would have to raise the hand closest to the person, okay, to palm check the person, all right, or to protect yourself from being hit. Okay, now the thing is this, okay, if we go back to this side, right, try not to be too paranoid as well, right? Don't, if the guy's trying to press the buttons, you do a palm check to the guy's face, all right? That would be a little bit too paranoid, and you might just hit an innocent person by mistake. Okay, so we don't want that to happen. So that's just a little bit of prevention. But what if, okay, there's a lift, you stood here, regardless, the guy decides to launch an attack at you. What is the most common form of attack they might try to do? A simple chokehold, especially against the wall, okay? Because that's typically when the choke is most effective. You need a surface behind so that, all right, there is a counter force and you do get choked from there, okay? So let's say she now chokes me. So now imagine I have a wall behind me, okay? So I'm being pinned against the wall right now. The problem is from here, okay? So as usual, as always said, okay, the guy's taller, longer arms. It's not so easy to try to hit a person. Can't reach the person's face very easy. And then you might think to yourself, you know what? Well, my arms can't reach, but surely my legs can. I could easily kick the person in the groin, can I? Right? Easier said than done, because a lot of times what do happen is that our victims are actually being lifted up on tiptoes. So when you try to kick, for example, all the weight, right, is hanging around your neck area, you actually choke a lot faster. Okay, so that's actually not a very good plan if you're trying to kick the person while standing on tippy toes from here. Okay, so what is it that you can use that is not strength based? Okay, there are a lot of moves that involves maybe breaking out of this chokehold here is not so easy. There's a particular joint we can use, right, that is very effective, right, for even small size person. I'm just going to demonstrate one to you right now. I'll take the opposite hand, I'll go across, grab any one finger, peel it off, keep it pinned on my chest, and there you go. Okay, now the truth is, could I break it? Yes, I could have break the finger. Okay, and why is this easy? Because ask anybody, the finger lock, the finger joints are just simply very small. All right, and it doesn't take very much for you to break the finger. That is the truth, especially for most guys, because the joints tend to be very stiff. Okay, there's a trick to grabbing the fingers as well. You can't go between the fingers because it's a lot harder. Go from the tip of the fingers, you peel it, envelope your whole palm over that one finger. Very importantly, you got to keep the hand pinned against your chest as you bend it backwards. Okay, you can't simply just remove the hand this way because it's not going to work. You got to keep it pinned, all right, bend it, all right, so now it hurts the person. Okay, now and to be honest, this is what I will actually do. Let's turn it around so you can see better. Okay, so what I will do on this side. So after I pinned it, what I'm going to do is I'm going to step around to this side here while keeping the hand pinned against my stomach on my hip area, controlling the elbow. Why? I want to be away from the other hand. Because as I'm doing it, well, the guy could hit me, right? If I continue to stay, so what I do, I turn to the side, snap it if I want to, right? To be honest, if the guy's really choking you, I think a little hurting of the person's finger is a very good deal if you ask me, okay? But like I said, the reason why I really like finger locks is because of that, okay? It's very easy to hurt a person. Even kids can hurt an adult's finger, okay? Especially with the element of surprise. The thing is this, right? When most people, when you choke them, okay, and they're trying to do this, the attacker don't think you're going to go for the fingers. All they think is this person is trying to get out, the usual natural way, just try to pry and whatever they can do. But the truth is, you have a natural technique, you're actually going for the fingers. So on their part, you're not sensing anything. They'll continue to chokehold because they think they can. There's nothing you can do about it until you grab the finger and there we go. Okay, what if it's a double hand choke? Okay, make things a little bit more complicated for you, right? Double hand choke once again against the wall, right? So same problem, right? You can't punch, you can't kick. So I'm going to keep things simple as well. I'm just simply going to go in between the arms, grab any one finger, and do exactly the same thing. So there's really no need to go for too many techniques because it just confuses you in the heat of the moment. Just go for some simple techniques, targeting simple, joint locks, vital areas, and you're good to go. Okay. So for a simple situation like the lift, to talk about where you should sit, which is super important. Because if you were caught in a situation like one of those, whether you're sitting behind the buttons or the back of the lift, sometimes you get yourself in a position where it's really difficult to get out. So we try not to get ourselves there. Okay, so we're standing in a good position, rather a relatively safe position. And if something would happen to us, there is still a chance for us fighting back. Okay, so the finger locks are one of it. Let's talk about a different scenario now. Let's talk about, say, a forearm grab, which is very important as well. So you're walking down the street, somebody grab you by the forearm and force you to go with them to wherever they want you to go to. Okay, so let's talk about maybe a double forearm grab. So what's a double forearm grab? The guy grabs hold of me this way. Okay, double forearm grab. The usual thing that most people will do, pull back. Okay, which is obviously is natural, but also pretty ineffective because this is a very strength-based movement. And I guarantee you're probably still going to go along with it. Okay, so pulling back is not necessarily a bad thing. You're giving the person a little bit of resistance. It's a natural instinct as well. Okay, but you got to have a good stance. So to the moment that somebody grabs, your natural instinct, widen your base, lower yourself a little bit. You're still probably going to go a little bit, but that's not all. When the person grabs you there, so you're pulling back, and now we elbow, we palm tight, we do lots of stuff to the person. That was pretty fast. Let's break down a little bit more. Okay, so what we do. One hand is going to slap the wrist as this hand is going to come towards us. We free ourselves. Now you might think to us, well, that's too easy. That can't be the case, right? Because why would the guy let you go across? Goes back to a natural reaction of the back. And now you think about it. How do bad guys grab? Where's the force? Where's the direction of force? This direction, right? They expect you to pull back in this direction. It's parallel. And what you're doing is not a parallel movement. It's a perpendicular movement. So going this way, do they expect it? I doubt so. Nobody pulls people like this. They don't separate their hands and start pulling. It's just weird, right? So what you do, you're going against the direction he doesn't expect. So when you slap this wrist here, this hand is going to come towards you. And then you can elbow the person, you can punch the person, the stuff you can do because you've already freed one hand. It's better than having two arms trapped. Okay, now the slapping part works if you're fast enough and maybe the guy hasn't gripped you too tightly. What if the guy has started to, grip you rather tight? He's strong, right? He's strong grip. So you couldn't slap. Okay, oh no, this failed. So what we're gonna do is we can't slap, but we can grab the wrist. Now look at this elbow. He's gonna go towards the person's elbow. And I free myself again and do the same thing. Why does it work? Leverage. So when I grab the wrist and my elbow moves towards the person's elbow, I'm leveraging over around the web of the hands. Let's step a little bit towards the camera so you guys can see this movement a little bit better. Okay, so focus on the hand. So first one, I'll just do it again. First one, slap the wrist, comes off. Okay, elbow the person. Second one, couldn't slap, right? It doesn't work. Hold the wrist, elbow to elbow, free myself. If the guy is too tall, boom, that's a low shot there. Okay, but this is how you do it. So like I said, right, this action, all right, of pulling back is very normal, it's very common, but he doesn't expect this, and this is where you go for your elbow strikes and whatever not from there. Okay, so that's a double forearm grab. Now you might ask me, well, if we're talking about grabs, now what about body grabs? You're walking down the street, somebody comes from behind. Very typical, okay? Body grab. This is an upper body grab. Okay, now most people think of the usual way, right? Somebody grabs in the top half, I'm gonna struggle the top half, I'm trying to break out of the grip. But you gotta think about it. If the person is gonna be strong enough to bear hug you this way, it'll be quite a strength-based technique to try to break up the person's grip, which to be honest, I don't expect it to be the case. Okay? And some of you would think, well, I'll throw the person over my shoulder. Well, provided you're strong enough to lift the person, well, the guy weighs 100 kilograms. So the thing is that when you're caught in a sticky situation like this, it's not about using strength, it's about working around the situation and finding techniques to not rely on strength. Okay? So what I'll do, move my hips, strike the ground. It's as simple as that. We call this technique, or rather this principle, the upper T and lower T principle. What do we mean by the upper T? Okay, this is the upper T, shoulder to shoulder, lower T, hip to hip. Okay, so what this principle suggests is that when somebody grabs you on either one of these T's, the other T that's not being controlled is always available to move. So given that happens, like if we go back to the earlier situation, the person grabs an upper body, my upper T can't move now, but my lower T can move. So what I do, I shift my lower T one side, create some space, and that's a hammer strike to the groin. Now, do not elbow. A lot of people think I'll elbow the person, but if you think about it, where does the elbow typically end in this situation? The fatty portion or the muscular portion of the body, right? This is not going to be effective against somebody who's big and strong, right? And maybe a little bit on the chubby side too. So what do? Extend the hand. The hammer fist goes towards the groin, so there won't be an elbow strike. And to be honest, the person really grabs it very close towards you. This elbow strike will not be effective. You simply have no space to do the elbow strike. So you shift, hammer fist, straight towards the guy's groin. And your lower body can always move because no matter how tight he holds in the upper body, this is not being controlled. Using the same principle, let's go to the lower body grab. Okay, see, for the lower body, it's very simple. My upper body can move. So, try not to break out of this by just pushing against the arm because it's not going to work, right? But given your upper body can move, lean for a little bit, look behind, elbow strike. Now, I like to do it twice. Why? I have no idea which side the hit is going to be. If I go this side and then this is, I go automatically towards the other side. So I go right, left, or left, right. It doesn't matter, right? But do twice. So what I do, I lean for a little bit, look over my shoulder, elbow, rise back towards the person's face. Okay? And that should be good to go for body grabs. Okay? So reiterating what I just did with regards to grabs, going back to forearm grabs again. Double forearm grabs. Okay? So the person's grabbing you. Good. Okay? On hand, slap, you do, elbow strike, palm strike. You do what you gotta do. Okay? Not so easy situation. Person's grip is a little bit tighter. You can't slap. You grab the wrist, elbow to elbow, move it, elbow the person in the face, hit the groin. You do what you gotta do. Body grabs. Going back again. Upper body grab. Okay? Shift your hips, strike the groin. Or if the person grabs you, lower body, elbow strike, elbow strike. Very simple. Okay. Now, since we're talking about what they call this back attacks, okay, maybe another thing you might think about. What if the guy gets a little bit, more, what if the situation gets a little bit trickier? What if it's a choke from behind? Okay, same principle. Principles, right, don't change very much because you're targeting the same human body. The person comes from behind. See, this is a choke. As a choke / kidnap, because when a guy chokes you, he pulls you backwards. So probably he's trying to kidnap you someplace as well. Because it's a choke, first thing that you do You got to pin the arm against your chest. You're pinning. Okay. Now, same upper T, lower T principle. Where is this being controlled? The upper T is being controlled. So I'm pinned at it. Okay. This hand is going to shift to this wrist. Let go. Hammer straight the groin again. Simple. Why shift? You think about it. Okay. So I'm pinning. Now, suppose I went straight towards the groin without shifting. Now you see. Go ahead and choke me a little bit. Now you see my voice changing because I'm still being choked. Because the choking point here is actually around the wrist area. So as I pinned, this hand is going to shift towards the wrist. Okay, I'm going to shift my body one side. I'm going to hammer straight the groin. Okay, so this is a double hand choke from behind. And like I said, this could happen, right? So you're walking, some person comes from behind, he chokes you, this aspect, he starts pulling you. Now the good thing is this, when he's pulling you backwards, in this sort of situation, he actually doesn't want you to fall. So he's actually propping you with his strength, right? So even if your legs were kind of stumbling in the process, right, you can find your feet and you should find your balance at some point, right? Use the person's strength, find your balance, pin, strike the groin, okay? You can do it because he's sort of helping you. If you fell to the ground, it's a lot harder for him to kidnap you after that, isn't it? It's actually propping you up with his body or rather his strength. So find your balance. First thing you gotta do, keep it pinned against your chest, okay? Switch the hand to the wrist side and then strike the groin. The same upper T and lower T principle. Okay, so far so good. So what did we cover today? Let me just do a quick summary of what we mentioned again, all right? Like I said, when I look at self-defense, I don't start straight from the first strike the person comes towards me, right? I talk about mindset changes, the ability to sense danger. Because to be honest, there are certain situations where it may not be physical. For example, okay, the person comes up to you, he chats with you. He's a really charismatic person. He offers you a drink now because he's such a good talker, all right? And let's just say, you just somehow decide to let your guard down the night, all right? You accept the drink he offers you, and it happens to be drugged. What happens next? Okay, if you take the drink that has been spiked, I don't care what kind of martial artist you are, I don't care how good you are in terms of physical techniques, right, or physical self-defense, you won't be able to fight back because you have already been drugged, right? Stability sensing is so important. So if you talk about the earlier situation just now, if you get approached by someone in the street, face the person, keep your distance, keep your hands up, all right? Thoughtful look, praying hands, all right? So far so good. The guy comes a little bit closer to you in an aggressive manner, fence position, tell the guy to back off. He doesn't back off, he keeps coming forward, you palm strike the person in the face. If not, below the chin. If not, solar plexus. Okay? If the guy throws a hit into your face, protect the face. Okay? This is the front shoe. Left shoe, right shoe. If not, low left, low right. Okay? If the person talks about, before we get there, where do you stand in the lift, right? Not behind the buttons, not the back of the lift, sides of the lift, in one of the covert postures to talk about. Thoughtful look, all right? If it's on the side of the lift, the other hand, all right? If the person were to choke you in the lift, what do we do? Okay, single hand choke hold. Take one hand, opposite hand, grab any one finger, pin it to your chest, bend the finger backwards, step to one side, control the elbow, control the finger, snap it if you have to. Okay, double hand choke, pretty much the same. Go between, grab the finger, bend it, bring it to one side. Same thing goes. Now we talk about grabs. Okay, double forearm grabs. As you slap the wrist, scenario A, easy, elbow strike. Scenario number B, not very easy, couldn't work. Grab the wrist, elbow to elbow, elbow strike. Okay? Body grabs. Upper body grab, very simple, cannot move. Shift the lower body, strike the groin with a hammer fist. Okay? Lower body grab, from here, lean forward, elbow strike, right and left, both sides. Okay? Finally, the guy chokes you from behind, pulls you backwards. Pin the arm against your chest, shift the hand to the wrist, strike the groin. And there we have it. Okay? So I'll just move forward towards the camera. Thank you very much. Okay. All right. So there's a lot of stuff that, we do mention in our course. This is just a very small snippet of what we actually teach. So in our full-blown self-defense program, we talk about ground defense. We talk about knife defense. We talk about various ways of striking a person without using strength. And I think, all right, all in all, basic self-defense isn't really difficult. Okay. We've got students aged 5 years old to people in the 80s, all right? If they can do it, so can you, all right? So to be honest, I hope that, what I've shared today is an eye-opening thing for you guys. And I hope definitely you learned something from this very short session. And the most important thing, as I said, is about mindset change. Don't think that is a very tough thing to learn. Don't think that you got to wait for the first strike to do something. Don't think it's so simplistic, like just calling the police or kicking the guy in the groin. There are lots of things you have to be aware of. Okay. And most important thing is don't wait until something happens before you take action to learn such things. Okay. Because through my experience dealing with some of the survivors, I mean, if they all had a second chance, I think they all wish something like that never happened to them. All right. So if you've never been a victim, all right, try to stay not a victim ever. Okay. So we do have a promotion right now. So we've got a family bundle right now. So because of the holidays, and of course with COVID-19, unfortunately we can't travel. So what's the next best thing to do? Why not troop in, all right, for a good self-defense session with the whole family? So we've got a family bundle. If you sign up, all right, with a family member, all right, 2 or more, you get a discount off a package. And of course, just so you guys are comfortable with our training, all right, every newcomer is allowed a free trial, all right, at our academy. So details can be found in this write up, our Facebook page and our website, and of course our email address is written over there. So our website is www.kpopsingapore.com and our email address is contact@kpopasia.com. So thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed, whatever I've shared, and maybe we can invite Claire back.
I'm yeah. Hi, Inchin. Thank you. That was amazing. So, can you hear me? Okay. Inchin, can you hear me? I think we might have a sound problem in here. Oh, you can. Okay, Inchin. I don't know if Inchin can hear me. So, we have a. Bear with us one moment, everyone. Okay, well, I'm going to, until Inchin lets me know if she can hear me, I just wanted to say that was an amazing session. There was a lot to take in. I think for me, myself, a couple of the takeaways just from that.
Hi, Claire.
Hi, Inchin.
We're still loading. I think still loading something my side. 1 second.
That's okay. So what I took away from that session today was I think what I really liked about it was the covert posture. I hadn't ever thought about that. The thinking position with the arms or the prayer position. That's actually really clever because sometimes I think people are a little bit embarrassed about like straight away, like putting hands up, that automatically, it signals I guess danger and violence. So if you are covert and you're protecting your body with your thinking position with their hands, that's such a clever technique, and it's easy for anyone to do, and you don't have to doesn't make you feel uncomfortable doing that, which I think was really good. I really liked the suggestion of your body position. I thought that was really important as well, is like facing the person, even if someone stops you on the street to ask a question, not staying with them on your side, but facing them. That's a really valuable piece of information, because I think when we're not aware of what that person's going to do afterwards, seeing them face on, and I think that would be valuable in any situation, any confrontational situation, be that on the street or maybe even in your home, is to face the person and to put up your covert position, protect some of your zones of your body from anything, to give you time to then figure out how to get out of the situation. I think that's really invaluable. I think Yunquan is disconnected at the moment. We're trying to get her back. But I'm just going to keep talking at you. The other thing I also found was very useful was the lift. We all get into a lift. And I must say, I never feel particularly comfortable in a lift, particularly when someone that seems a bit not so, their energy isn't very, very happy, or that doesn't mean that bad people don't have good energy. It's just that sometimes your instincts know, and I don't like it when they go behind me when I'm standing in the lift. So I love that suggestion of using the wall and facing the side walls and facing inwards, because that means that you can see what someone or anyone is doing in the lift. Even for pickpocketing, even if it's just not a direct attack on us, I think that knowing your surroundings and what people are doing around you, being able to see that can prevent a lot of things like pickpocketing as well. And also sexual harassment, groping, and just unpleasant things. Like for example, I know a lot of people taking the metros and transport. I would say the same thing would apply to put your body in that position as well. I think we've got Yunchin coming back. Oh, yay! Yunchin's coming back in a second. And the other thing I thought was very useful was the wrist grab information. If everyone remembered seeing Yunchin explaining that to us, not to push and pull because that's what the person's expecting, but to use that side slap movement. That's really clever, actually. And I think the side slap is an element of surprise, which means that you can release one of your hands, because that flick is actually, until you've practiced it, it's a little bit harder. But just remembering to side slap, which would be really, really good and useful, I think. Okay, unfortunately, I don't think that we're going to get Yunchin back. We do have a question, but what we can do is we can come back and answer that question through the Facebook page. Oh, no, we've got Yunchin back. Yunchin?
Yes,
hello. Hi, yeah.
Yes,
I was
hi,
just explaining to everyone what was some of the things that I liked from the session you just went through. And I was
That's
just mentioning, yeah, like the covert position. That's great. I think that's really great. And then positioning your body facing the person in the lift. We do have a question. So let's jump. Are you happy to answer a question for us?
Yeah, sure. So let me hear the question.
Yes, so the question is, I'll read it out exactly. It's, hi, Yunchin, thank you for sharing and demonstrating. I'm wondering, if someone faces violence at home from someone familiar, what is something they can do to defend themselves?
I definitely think that in terms of domestic violence, it requires more than just the physical engagement. But to be honest, I think they do have to learn some physical defense, like some of the things I mentioned, like defending against a strike, defense against a choke. You have to survive the initial onslaught of attack first. But to be honest, you have to reach out to somebody, all right, from the authorities, right? You have to reach out from somebody in the social network that can help you to get out from that situation for the long term. So this is not just a physical thing and then be done with it. No, it's more extensive than that. It's both psychological as well as physical. So I definitely think that you need to reach out to somebody from the authorities and somebody outside who can really help you, right, to get away from this toxic relationship, of this toxic situation that you're in.
Yeah, exactly. And I guess it's having some techniques is to probably help with if there's an initial kind of attack and you've got to defend yourself. But the key is to get away and stay away, or find solutions to preventing that. I do think that protecting your body situation, I've personally witnessed domestic violence myself, and the protecting yourself isn't a natural instinct. So knowing to do that, the covert positions to keeping your zones of your body safe, I think is really valuable as well.
Definitely.
Yeah. Now we do have another question, and actually it's a question I had too, because we covered a lot of information and I took away a couple of things, but I'm guessing that one would need to practice these techniques. Practice is something we would need to do, isn't it? To get familiar with the techniques, to make them almost like what I would say muscle memory. They just come instinctively.
That's right. I definitely think that regular practice would definitely help. But I think one thing that we should always remember is that techniques are very unique to situations. So even in my training session, I'm not actually advising people to memorize techniques, because then if the situation were to change, these techniques cannot be applied in this, new situations that you're going to encounter. So what we actually teach a lot of times are the principles. So you might hear me talk about principles like the upper T and the lower T, because when it comes to like upper body controls, right, it can be a bear hug, it can be a choke from behind. So these are various situations, but they all go through the same principle that we're trying to understand and we're trying to apply. So when you start going through self-defense training, you start to look at the human body and study the human body through biomechanics, laws of physics, etc. So to be honest, for me, if a situation I've never covered, if you understand and apply principles, you can come up with your own techniques.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, that's really great to know. You can, of course, you can't follow the principles. Exactly, exactly.
Right.
And as you said right from the beginning, this is the going in for the physical attack is the third step. It's like the
That's right.
last resort. You want to be identifying danger first, and finding ways, I guess, to get yourself out of the situation before the danger even becomes physical.
That's right. That's right.
That's fantastic. Can we quickly, just quickly put the screen on again? If anyone wants to come and do training with you, they can benefit from this discount for the family. And also you said something about a free class for the first time?
That's right. That's right. So all newcomers can come in, all right. Especially, if you want to come in for a free session, you can just drop us an email. All right, my email's over there. contact@kpopasia.com. Have a free trial before you decide if this is something you want to do. And it's also SkillsFuture approved, which is great for Singaporeans who've got some SkillsFuture credits to spend. So something to think about.
Oh, brilliant. That's great to know. Well, thank you so much for being with us today. A pleasure to see you. And thanks, Yunchin.
Thank you so much.
Bye-bye. Well, that's it, everyone. We're wrapping up Let Our Voice Run. It's come to an end for 2020. It actually secretly hasn't come to an end for me because I'm in Europe at the moment and it's snowy and icy outside. So I'm about to go out and do my 16-kilometer run now. But for most of you in Singapore, I know you're coming to the end of the day. So thank you to everybody that has gotten behind the cause, that has joined in through our various different activities throughout the week, who have signed up and registered for the run, who ran today, walked today, cycled today, swam. We had some people swimming as well. Had your family come involved, anyone who bought a t-shirt. So all the proceeds that we are raising from this campaign are going to continue and support the work of LCCS in Singapore to help them restore and help survivors heal and find their safe space to be heard. So a very big thank you to all of you that have participated. I also want to say a very big thank you to our sponsors. We had Come On from Singapore, the Diesel Diva, Singapore Pools Private, the Singapore University of Social Sciences, and Jessica Ferguson Designs. So thank you, all of you, for helping us in your various different ways to make this week a great success, and definitely one that we'll be doing in 2021. So keep an eye on our social media pages. We will be sharing that date coming up in the next couple of weeks. And also, if anybody missed some of the activities that we did in this past week, we've recorded many of them, and they will be available online on social media via the Facebook pages for LCCS in Singapore, and also on Footsteps to Inspire's social media page. So if anybody would like to go back, watch those videos, there's some useful information in all of them. There's resource lists. You will take away and learn something, I'm sure, be able to potentially go out and help yourself if you need support, and help people that you care and love about that may have also themselves been exposed to violence of some kind in the community. So thank you, everyone. Let our voice run. Let our voice be heard. It's wonderful that you can be part of it. And until 2021, thank you. Bye-bye.